Welcome to From the Ground Up podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to have an awesome show today, but first I want to talk a little bit about Theportcitypythons.com, where we have some animals available, and I need to turn off the AC unit because I forgot to turn it off. But Melissa won't be here with us. She is sick, so therefore I am going to be the lonely host today. But we do have some animals available. I just put up a snow tessera, an anery tessera, a sulfur. Some of that other stuff is coming out. I have honey stuff that is ready to go that I should put up soon. Other than that, also we have springtails, sphagnum moss, all the regular stuff on portcitypythons.com, as well as shirts. Also, YouTube, all that good stuff. Check me out, and that is pretty much it. So today's guest works with just a myriad of snakes, a lot of colubrids. He is over there in the Pacific Northwest. His name is Shane Wooldridge of Evergreen State Reptiles. So, Shane, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get into a little bit of how you got into reptiles.
I would say, I actually believe, I think I read something somewhere they were talking about it's like in your DNA. Like there's something about you. It's just the way you are. So, I can remember being 3 years old, 4 years old, catching garter snakes and alligator lizards and always looking for the rubber boa. I never found one until a few years ago. It took a long time. But I would say my uncles and my dad, they used to like play a game where they'd go into the woods with buckets and fill them with frogs and lizards, and everything was worth certain points and stuff, and they'd add it up. And they used to tell me about that, and they'd take me catching snakes. And I spent a lot of time in the woods growing up. There's some big toads up on the mountains up here. They used to be down in the valley, but they kind of disappeared. Big old Pacific Northwestern toads. Used to chase those around a lot. And it wasn't long before, I had my first box turtle at like 4. I had a Schneider skink at like 8. It was a really cool lizard. It was an import. He didn't last very long, but I tried my best with him. He was a cool little guy. So yeah, it's all family though.
Did you have that point where like high school or something, you kind of got out of it and did the cool kids stuff and then eventually came back to it?
No, actually, I in high school, I wrestled and played football, and I was always hanging out with the homies and the chicks and whatever, but I never hid that passion. So I'm kind of outgoing anyway, and I always had snakes and lizards or whatever, and people knew that, and actually the school paper did an article about me with some of my pets and took a picture at one point, and but I was like the captain of the wrestling team and all that stuff. I didn't ever hide that passion. I always felt pretty strong about it, and yeah, I definitely just rolled with it since I was little, really little.
Right on. And you're a big dude, man. Like you said, you played college football, right? You were talking about before.
Yeah, I played some college ball. So, yeah. And actually, that's all I did in college is I had a little pickup S10, and we'd go practice. We wake up at 6 a.m., go to study hall, throw the chew in, and then hit the classes and go to lunch, finish classes, go play football. And as soon as practice was over at 6 o'clock, this was in Quincy, California. It's Feather River College is where I went. It's like 45 minutes from Reno, and it's like 6,000 feet elevation. It's way up there. We'd head up straight to this place called Four Corners and climb the rocks and start pulling rattlesnakes every single day. 12-pack of beer, fill the S10 bed up with rattlesnakes, let them go, take pictures, whatever. I had a lot of fun every day.
That's awesome, man.
It was hard to leave there.
Is that something to where did you have just as much of a draw towards, finding snakes in the wild as you did to captive keeping?
I think I liked it more at one point. Like when my parents came to visit, I would take them up there to the spots and show them and stuff, And I only had, it's funny because I think like all my friends now in the reptile business, all the people I've become friends with, and they're great friends, man. I got my best friends, met them online and then you go spend time with them or whatever. We talk about that a little bit more later, but what I was going to say is I only had one homie growing up that liked reptiles out of all my friends, and we were like engulfed in it together, but all these other guys down in SoCal, they'd have 10, 15 friends like that had reptiles or would go herping or whatever. And I didn't have that. I had myself, my brother, and one friend, and that was it. The hobby wasn't that big here, but it's definitely large now.
Yeah, isn't that what's crazy? Like I always wished all the things that I was into, I grew up in a small town, and the internet wasn't exactly as small as it is now, when I was growing up, or as inclusive as it is now, and you weren't able to get in touch with as many people as possible.
Sure.
There's no social media, all that good stuff. So like I didn't have anyone to talk about this stuff with or do it with.
Yeah, neither did I. I mean, just the one guy, and then my uncles, and they gave me a lot of attention when I was a kid. A couple of my uncles, my uncle Dale, my uncle Brandon, and they would always take me catching alligator lizards. That was like the main thing. I love those little guys, and garter snakes were everywhere. So it didn't take long before I gave them no attention. I was looking for the rubber boa and the alligator lizards, different salamander species.
How'd you end up finding the rubber boa?
Actually, when I was 17, there was a guy in school, and he always asked me where he could catch snakes. And he wasn't my friend; he was kind of a different cat. So I told him behind the Safeway they're getting ready to demolish it. I bet you I saw a deer back there, and this is like in the middle of town. I was like, I bet you there's some boars and stuff laying back there, and might be a good place to look for snakes. And he had never even found a rubber boa, didn't know what it was. And I told him to go there, and right where he parked, right where you parked, there was a board. He flipped it and pulled 2 rubber boas, and he brought them to school on Monday. Dude, I was so pissed off. I still remember it to this day. That was 17 years ago. I was 17 at the time. I'm 34. And I still didn't find one until probably like 5 years ago when I really started looking and knowing how to look based on the geographic location of things. And I found, I don't know, there's a picture on my Instagram. I think it's the first picture. If you look at it, I flipped a board. It had 2 or 3 rubber boas. They're all different colors. Like one's yellow, one's brown. And there was an alligator lizard and like 14 or 15 garter snakes.
Wow.
But the alligator lizard shot out, but I got a picture of, it was cool. That was my first time. And then that day I probably ended up finding 5 or 6. So.
Dude, I mean, at least, you didn't get to just go to a parking lot and flip a board, but at least when you found them, there was multiple, and then all those garter snakes and alligator lizards. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a cool scene. Like I said, that picture is I think it's the first one on my Instagram, way down at the bottom. I sent that to a bunch of people like Jerry Hartley. He's got the Colubrid page. That's all about, I don't say local or whatever, purebred locality, and everybody in there was digging it. That was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, that's what's awesome about all the different groups is that, I could post that rubber boa thing up in Positive Pythons and it would get like 2 likes, or you could post it up, in that group and everyone could go crazy about it.
Yeah, there's a big write-up in the paper this last week. They found one at a local park, and people don't know what they are because they're so elusive, And it would hit the paper front page. What is this invasive snake? And they're like, no, it's not invasive. It's been here forever. And everybody's like, is it dangerous?
It's like the least dangerous thing you could ever imagine.
Yeah, it's an amazing creature, man. You can literally just pick them up and kind of move them to the side. They're cool. They're really.
Do they just kind of ball up?
They don't even do that. They almost seem like they're lifeless. You can just kind of pick them up. It's kind of wild. If there's a hole next to them and you turn a board, they'll slowly get in the hole, but whatever rodent hole they're hanging out in. But if they're just crossing the road, it's just like a salamander crossing the road. It just barely moves, just takes its time. So
I didn't know that. Well, I guess I haven't really paid attention, but rubber boas range all the way up to Oregon.
Well, I'm in Washington, so
Washington.
I'm 2 minutes from the Columbia River, which is Portland on the other side. We don't go over there. We don't go there. Excuse me. Yeah, I think the biggest population is in Washington State. And then there's quite a few in Idaho. And when I was down in California, I never found one. But I know they're down there, of course. But Oregon on the coast has a ton. And Washington, southwest Washington, where I'm at, up in the woods, there's quite a few. So
now I know that they're illegal to keep in California, but are they illegal in Washington or Oregon? Do you know?
I don't really know. I've looked online and it doesn't really have information. I wouldn't keep them anyway. I don't even like touching them. In fact, I don't think I've ever touched one of the ones I've found. think I was just taking pictures, but I don't think they're illegal. They probably could be. I know people keep them, and they show up on forums once in a while. Look what I found. It's in a 10-gallon tank with aspen bedding. Like, oh God, they don't need heat. They need a lot of humidity, and they need soil and whatever. So.
Yeah, and it seems like the people who do keep them in captive environments, it seems like they're a little bit of a handful as far as getting the feed and the temperature and everything like that.
Yeah. I don't know. My buddy had one. That one guy that I was talking about I grew up with, he had one. He caught it at the airport in town. They would pile up the grass when they clip it, and he was jumping around in it. And he was like 15 years old, 12 years old, whatever, and found one. And he took it home, and he was being funny, and he threw a marshmallow in there, and it ate the marshmallow.
What?
He had a picture on a Polaroid of this rubber boa eating a marshmallow. It was trippy. And it lived. He ended up letting it go like a year later, putting it back where he found it. But
that's crazy because I have a couple of friends who have them, and they're like, "Oh my God, I wish I could get this male to eat ever." And there they are, eating marshmallows. So
I'm not kidding you.
Maybe
I know one trick people do is they wrap them around their finger really tight, and then they try to feed them a pinky, and they usually take it like the babies. That's what I've heard, but like I said, I've never messed with them. I don't think you can really keep them at the right temps.
So what do you mess with now? Now that obviously you're out of college football, and you got a family and everything like that, and you got a crazy collection. What is your collection like?
Man, it's kind of like it's topped out. I can't have anything more for the space I have it in. So, that's something we got to look for in the future. But I really love colubrids, much like yourself. That's where it's at for me. I love a couple lizard species like lacertas and colored lizards. I bred lacertas this year, and that was pretty cool. I was stoked about that. I have some tegus on breeder loan with a few different people. But as far as the snakes go, I've got some boas. I've got all the colubrids, and I got cow kings, locality stuff. I've got Florida kings. I've got the Kunashir rats. I've got the knobs. I've got gray banded. I've got a ton of hognose. I probably have 30 or 40 adult hognose.
Damn.
And I got tons of raised up stuff. I probably have 12 female high white cow kings I'm raising up from last year. They're already probably, 24 to 30 inches. They're getting big. They get big pretty quick. And I got a bunch of hognose I'm still raising up. And what else is there? I'm raising some musarana. I've got a bunch of bull snakes. Next year should be a big year on the bull snakes. And then I got some false water cobras I'm working with. They'll be there next year. So everything I have this year will hopefully be there again. Plus we'll add the bulls and the false waters and maybe 10 or 15 more adult colubrids. So
yeah, looking at your Instagram, I'm like, I didn't even know you had all these things, and here they are popping out of eggs. So it's like, it's crazy the variety of it. But let's, I guess, rewind a little bit. Evergreen State Reptiles. When did you first kind of start your business per se, like the business side of it?
Well, so I was breeding rosy boas back in like 2007. I really had a thing for rosy boas. I think they're great pets. They're perfect size. They're easy to care for. So much variety. And that's where I met my best friend, my brother, like Mike Roscoe, Roscoe's Reptiles. He owns a reptile shop in Temecula, California. We did a deal. It was back in 2007. Deal was done. Didn't hear from him, whatever. And I went to go sell a few of those snakes. So he messaged me, and we've just been best friends ever since. I fly down to SoCal and do shows. Him and his family come up here and visit and stay. And we talk 5 times a day. I couldn't have got where I've gotten without that little bit of leadership I've gotten from him and a few animals here and there. And we go back and forth. He's got a couple breeding projects here with me, and I've been kicking him just a few animals. Nothing to make it like super valuable for him, but it's just a family thing. So, but I wandered off your question, how'd I got started. So I sold all those rosy boas to put down payment on the house.
No shit.
Have a snake. Yeah. I had probably like 30 adults, so it was a good chunk of change. And I didn't have any snakes for probably like 5 or 6 years. I coached high school wrestling and football. I was working 50 hours a week, getting after it, started having kids, and this, that, and the other. And then life kind of started slowing down because I'm at home with the kids, not coaching as much, and had a change in jobs. Got a few things here or there, kind of trying to find a good footing in it, right? Like I didn't think I wanted to be a breeder or a company owner, but like I said, I was breeding the rosies, and they're so easy, and it was kind of more of like a hobby breeding. It was like, oh, this is cool, and I'd give them away. I wouldn't sell them for barely anything. I didn't really care, but the adults were valuable. Anyway, fast forward, my daughter's like 4 or 5, and I wanted to take her to a show, So we went to one of the shows, and I still knew a few people from that show, and I was walking around, and it's nothing against anybody in particular, but I just looked at it like, man, like the show, the promotion, and the promoter do a great job. They bring so many people in the door. I mean, I think social media brings a lot of people in the door, to be honest with you. I think Instagram and Facebook has really pushed the hobby and makes people take care of their animals better because they see how people take care of their stuff and they want to be better or get as many likes. It's like, it's kind of this whole, it'll really screw your rods and cones if you really start thinking about it. Like social media is like driven this hobby to such a better place.
Well, like just think about it. I mean, from my perspective, I'm going to probably change the way all my setups are done solely because I'm bending the social media. And that's not even a negative thing. That's like they're pushing me to make my enclosures better so that in the back of my YouTube videos, like I want all my corn snakes to be in 2-foot cages. And it's like not everyone can do that, I know, but if you're going to be front facing, it will be nice to do that, and people will appreciate it. And like that's something to where a lot of people are pushing the hobby in a different direction, and
yeah, absolutely,
it's nice to see. I mean, it's a pain in the ass for us who have to change the way we do things, but it's also nice to see that things are being forwarded in a way.
Yeah. So I mean, like I went to that show. That must have been like, I don't know, 2015, maybe 2014. And like people didn't have banners up, and the deli cups were like dirty, and there wasn't, people didn't have displays. And I mean, some people did. Some people have been on it for a long time. But I looked around and I was like, man, I miss this, and I can do better. Like I can do better than this. Like I can do better for the hobby and for the customer and for the, the people in general. So I just kind of went all out and started getting. I try not to buy adults ever. I like to buy yearlings or maybe 2 years old. I guess you'd call that adult, but something that hasn't been bred yet. And I went with hognose, and I did a couple wholesale packages and spent some money, kept track of it, and vended my first show in August 2016 after going down to the San Diego Super Show with Mike at his booth, kind of seeing how he did things. And I always want to be better. And it's not about being a better, like I want to be better. It's about I want to be the best, as in like I want to know if I'm doing this, I'm doing it the best I can. I don't want to cut any corners, period. Like it's not about besting the next person. It's about besting myself. You know what I mean? Like I want that to be the best I can do it, or I don't want to do it, So 2016 it's only been 2.5 years. I wouldn't even say 2016 really mattered. I kind of went and did a show, got a good feeler, blew the table out of hognose, and I thought, man, this is my favorite snake right now. It still is. I still love hognose. And so I went heavy on it. And 2017 was a great year. We have 2 local shows here, and between the 2 of them, I think there's 5 shows a year. And one of them is a captive bred only 1-day show in Portland and Monroe. And that's my favorite show personally. It's 1 day, it's a banger. People line up for a friggin' mile, and they come flying in, and it's just, I love that customer, owner, seller, whatever interaction, and the hustle and the bustle of the show and getting after it, and the, you know what I mean? Like
it energizes you. I know.
Dude, that's Christmas to me.
Some people are like in their chair behind their table, like eating a sandwich when you go up, but like we're still in the, we're ready to go stage. Like
exactly.
me and Melissa are happy.
Sit there, their arms crossed, reading a book. But I like to be up on my feet. And, hey, what's up? I can talk to anybody. How's it going? What you looking at? What you looking for? What do you have at home? How's it? Just whatever. That's just, it's Christmas to me. I can't barely sleep the night before, ever. I mean, I'm kidding you, man. I get pumped
If
up.
you're not packing up snakes and deli cups, that is. If
Oh,
you
I
have time
know.
to sleep.
Yeah. I can burn through that. I do all my deli cups the night before, but I don't put them in there until the day, unless I'm out of town, of course. But I always tell people I treat that like an MMA fight, man. Like, I feel like I'm ready to go. Like, people are like, you're so intense about it. It's just the feeling, It's like, it's a serious high to me. I just love it.
I mean, there must be some type of leftover like competitive drive in you, whether it's, through football, wrestling, and then obviously you did MMA, which is crazy and stuff like that. I mean, you obviously are a competitive dude. So even if it's just besting yourself, you're still competing, you're out there competing and getting hyped just to be out there.
Well, yeah. I did do MMA for a while after college football, and I wish I wouldn't have quit. I actually never lost. I went on a 5-fight run, 5 knockouts. I won an amateur world title through the military, but it's just you can't do that sport and have a job and buy a house. You got to live in your mom's basement and hopefully hit it big in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like,
which is what a lot of us do that in snakes as well. So
that's true, man. It's the same thing. You got a hobby that either keeps you from working or keeps you spending all your money. But so anyway, back to the shows. Every show I try to bring something else new. Like right now I'm working on lighting. I hate the clamp lamps. I think they don't give off good light, and they're in your way when you're working. I'm working on bringing some lighting that I want to have drop down over the top 5 or 6 feet above and really light the front up. So I'm always trying to, change the way things look. And I invested a ton in clothing. I got the enamel pins. I got the hats now. I got sweatshirts with the zip,
nice.
All the different T-shirts and stuff. So that's just what I like to do.
Do you sell apparel at the shows, and how well?
Yeah, man, it's gotten crazy. Like I have a lot of. I'll give shirts away to somebody. They spend a couple $100. It doesn't cost that much. The shirts are like $5 to make if you're the cheap ones. These ones are expensive. They're softer, quite a bit more money. But like the cheaper ones, I don't sell them for more than. I don't even try to make money on them. I want people to wear my name. I want my name out there when people are walking around the shows. But I'll hand stickers and shirts out left and right, except for the real high quality stuff. It costs money. You got to make money. But like the hats, I sell them at cost. You want to get your name out there. They're doing you a favor wearing it and being a fan of it. But what kind of blows my mind is the amount of people that'll come up and say, "Oh, we're watching your Instagram. And we want to support you." And they might not even buy an animal, but they want to buy the apparel. That almost means more to me than buying the animal. Like they believe in, or they like they see what they like. You know what I mean? Or they like what they see, so they want to.
They want to like
wear your name.
Yeah, like they want to give that money to you because of what you have done for them, which to you is just like I'm just putting pictures out there, right? But I mean, yeah, that matters a lot. And for people who aren't on social media, like we don't get a lot of breeders who are really big on Instagram or something like that, and you post a lot. It's something to where like people come up to you and like at the show, a lot of our people bought snakes who already knew us from Instagram. Like we don't even get many, people just coming by and buying snakes from us. We get people who are coming for us and then buying snakes because they saw us on Instagram or something.
Yeah, you do your work at home pretty much, pre-sales for the most part or whatever. But yeah, I think like that's another thing about Instagram is, I just hit 2,000 followers. I think it's like 2,200. And I see there's people out there with like 20,000 followers and 30,000 followers. But the 2,000 followers I have, I go through that list, man. Those are real followers. They're not bot accounts. They're not win a Jamaican vacation account. They're like real reptile people. So I feel like that's so valuable. That's 2,000 people that want to see what I have, or 2,200, I think now. But like I said, there's people out there with 20, 30,000, but that doesn't mean they have 2,000 interested people in their brand. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's so valuable. I feel like it's so much more than 2,000. It's so much appreciated. So.
Yeah, you see those guys with like 20,000 followers and get like 20 likes a picture, and you're like, what's going on here? Like, why does it doesn't benefit you at all to buy fake followers? Why don't you just get real potential customers? Isn't that why we're here? But
yeah, I've probably bumped 400 people since I started because they were random accounts. They weren't like reptile people, or they weren't like just personal accounts. They were like I said, like win a vacation or Big Bill Hell's car lot or whatever, So it's like, no, I want it to reflect the real deal. You know what I mean? I want to reflect exactly what we're working towards. So
for sure. So that first show, I mean, you did like the old school method where you just bought clutches, you held back a few for you to breed, and then sold the rest at a show, and that's how you kind of made your money to start up.
that's exactly what I did. I ordered deli cups and didn't have a banner. I did order a banner, and it was just a picture of some snakes that I had produced a while back. And I had an Instagram handle that I used to buy and sell gold and silver coins with. That was like a big hobby of mine, just for fun. I enjoy it. Real gold and silver, not like, you know what I mean? Like actual bullion. So I used that as my name, and I put my phone number on it. And then I was like, I need to get a real business name and come up with something right. And I wanted to do something kind of cool, like something different. I wanted like Lost Highway Exotics. I'm a big Hank Williams fan, but Michael talked me out of it. He said, you should do something that's really like professional, And I kind of thought about how I wanted to do the logo with the name. And I thought it just has to be Evergreen State Reptiles. And I mean, that's pretty generic in my opinion, but it's really caught a lot of people's attention. So I'm happy I did it.
Yeah, I think it's something to where I know exactly where you're from, kind of what your ethos is about, and it just gives you a good, and also it's easy to remember, and especially for people in the area, I'm sure they relate with it.
Oh yeah. When I did those tie-dye shirts, or when the kids did, we did a bunch in Seahawk colors, and those sold so fast.
That's awesome.
It said Evergreen State Reptiles, and then it was the Seahawks colors. So, and we did a show that weekend in Seattle, so probably sold like 10 in the Seahawk colors. It's kind of smart. Just ran with it and it worked out.
Nice. Everyone came up to us and was like, Baltimore's the port city. Are you from Baltimore? I was like, no, but I guess maybe we should be, because
where you're at's not Port City?
No. That was from like a place we lived in upstate New York a while back, or that I lived in. But
it's a good name, man. I've actually told people that's a good name.
But we don't breed pythons, man.
Someday you might, but it doesn't I don't think that matters so much.
Yeah.
You think it matters?
You just hear it so much. Just so many people bring it up.
Do they? Oh, I haven't heard anybody say that. They don't breed pythons, but
yeah, it happens at shows mostly, or people think that the corn snakes are some type of python, or I don't know.
Oh man, those people just keep walking.
Yeah, I guess it's a filter though for people who observe snakes or not. I don't know, but it's been kind of a double-edged sword on that end. But you came to the gate being as legit as possible. Like, you got the logo designed and stuff though after that show, or
I did my own logo off photos of some tegus and stuff, and I want to say it was probably after July of 2017 I ran with the name. So we opened the gates of 2018 with the name, and I wanted to be right. I wanted the logo to be right. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm not necessarily trying to make a business out of it. It's not about money. It's like I said, originally it was about, I saw the way things were being done. I thought I could do better than this. I can do better. And I wanted to challenge myself to you can do this. My buddy was always telling me, you got the drive, you got the ability, you're smart, handle it, get after it, But if it ever morphs into that, where I wouldn't have to work, that'd be great. But I don't ever expect that. Not at all. Not one bit. But I try to be as legit as possible. I wanted to come out. I wanted some recognition for the effort. Like we talked about my work schedule. I put a lot of time in. Lose a lot of sleep. So.
But did you start really building out from hognose? When did all that start to happen?
It's happened so quick, man, to be honest with you. I never got one big order from one person I was just lucky enough to take the time to look on fauna, look on king snake. I've only bought from Morph Market recently. I never looked at that much because individual animals for sale rather than groups. And I'd go to shows and I'd pick a few things here or there, and it just, it was a lot of legwork to put pieces together. And like I said, my buddy Michael Roscoe's Reptiles. He sent me a lot of animals. I hooked up with a good friend in Louisiana, Vincent Melhoff Reptiles, VMR, and got a good buddy in Idaho now. He's an older guy, Earl Morin. He's the Treasure Valley Reptiles. And then Jeremy Brace with Brace Exotics, who's also down in SoCal. All these people matter. Like, it matters so much. When people are like, I think it's super ignorant when like people aren't open to like the community as far as like the relationships we have with each other. Me and you've been kind of chit-chatting for almost probably close to 2 years now. I mean, just in passing for the most part, but I value that, you know what I mean? Like, I think that matters. Like, it's crazy. Some people it doesn't seem like it does. They really want to be like this guy over here, and it's everything's I and me. I'm always us and we. Like, always want to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, I don't think this would be any fun if we were just in our rooms tinkering with our own snakes. I mean,
people do that though. Like,
yeah, people prefer that. Yeah,
it's insane. Sure. And they want like,
why don't you use these invaluable resources that are around you, people with knowledge that you would like? I mean, talk to each other and hang out.
Exactly, because it's fun. It's fun to hang out. Like, I mean, like I said, Michael's my brother now. When we talk on the phone, it's barely about reptiles. It's mostly about life. And same thing with Jeremy. Jeremy, like Brace Exotics. I think you probably know who that is. It does it all, mostly corns, very few king snakes. That's my other brother, you know what I mean? And I met him through Michael. They met each other randomly at a show, and they got hooked up, and we're just all family now. And I talk to Jeremy 3-4 times a week, and I want to say once a month we talk about reptiles. Like, it's just, you know. But I'll tell you what, it's probably a year ago where you made a post about sulcatas, and you really opened my eyes to like what I was contributing to. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, that's something to where I think that as a community, kind of like how you were talking about, like, we need to get together and say, like, how do we do this better in certain ways that serve us? Because prior generations have done a good job, and there's been people who've done a bad job. You know, there's been obviously Burmese and iguanas are down in Florida for a reason. And it's honestly, it's our fault as the pet trade. It is our fault. And how do we stop that? How do we make our PR a little bit better? And it's like people like you who have a legitimate business, and people like us and all the other people who are doing it right that can finally give a decent light to, this thing that we love. But yeah, things like sulcatas go on that.
Oh, I just, you made a post. It was like a year ago, and I was selling sulcatas left and right, captive bred, $55 a piece, whatever. And they're captive bred by close friends of mine, not stuff I was pulling off Craigslist or anything else. So I know they were well taken care of, whatever. But in the end, a $55 tortoise is a disposable animal to 90% of the people that buy them. They don't protect that investment. We have to put value on these animals. Florida's full of iguanas. People probably want to argue it all day long. It's a value thing. You can go to Pet Show, Petco, PetSmart. Iguanas are on sale for $14.99.
And they were brought into the country for $5 each, man.
Exactly. And people that want to spend $14.99 on an animal aren't going to spend $200 on their cage. And the animal's either going to die of MBD, malnutrition, whatever, or get released. We got to put value on the animals. That's why, I walked away from the sulcatas solely off your post. And I read it and I thought, man, I never really thought of it. Like, I started kind of actually giving it its own name. It's a dashboard animal at an expo. People buy it, toss it on their dash. Hey, we got a tortoise, $55. It'll be fun for the week. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to contribute to that. I don't want to get on Google, type, go to Craigslist, type sulcata tortoise. Man, I just don't want to be a part of that. There's 20, 30 sulcata tortoises in every town looking for a house, And for every 20 or 30, another 200, 300 died, So maybe it's not good to talk about on a podcast, but maybe it is. I don't know.
No.
You totally woke me up on it, and I was like, I sell captive bred redfoots from a friend of mine who breeds them in Massachusetts, Keith.
Yeah.
And those have value to those animals, and the people that are looking for redfoots, they're looking for redfoots. You know what I mean? They're not just there and see a shell and $50. What a deal,
And either way, you
So,
can keep them inside, especially where you are. You know, that's a pet that you
yeah.
can keep inside all year round and do really well with.
Ours are outside right now. We put them outside for like 3 to 4 months out of the year.
Yeah,
But
that's awesome
yeah,
if you could do
inside. Yeah, I mean, the Pacific Northwest, it has cooler nights, but for 3 months out of the year, you're pretty good to have. I was thinking about putting the lacertas outside because they're cranking eggs left and right, clutch after clutch after clutch. And there's an older guy that's local, and he has a huge group, and he's never got an egg. I figured it out, And I don't need a high, but I treat them just like the colubras. They go in the garage for 3-4 months out of the year at 55 degrees, and they just turn over and turn over and turn over. So. But they do really well outside here because they like cooler temps. They're from Spain and Paris, and they're fun lizards too. That's the one lizard besides the colored lizard. We're also working with those. I'm looking at the cages over here. We have everything in one room, but we have some colored lizards and a fish tank on display. And the female's digging in the sand. She's full of eggs, so that'll be our first clutch. Add it to the list of all the crazy stuff that comes out of this house.
So all the lizard stuff you keep in groups and they just kind of reproduce as they go?
No, the lacertas, they have to be, the males won't hurt the females, but the females will hurt each other one time a year. Like you can have 5 females in a cage together, but after that dominant female ovulates, then the rest do. She always ovulates first. I've never seen it other way. Well, I guess I've only been doing it for 2 years, but then she'll just go after those other ones, and they got nothing for her. They'll tear them apart. So the females have to be separated during ovulation. She don't want that male touching them. So,
wow, that's crazy.
But the colored lizards you keep together.
You just running that male then through a few different females, like after that one goes, and you know which one it is, and then you move.
Pretty much. That's the way to do it. And I mean, sometimes you'll see that male breeding every day, 3 times a day for 15 days. I just make sure to give them a few pinkies every week. And people say don't give them too many pinkies, but from my opinion, based off what I've learned from the male breeding himself too much and the females making eggs, I eat a lot of roaches, and I give them quite a few pinkies and even fuzzies probably every 7 to 10 days to get some pinkies and fuzzies.
And that's the supplement. I mean, what's the main diet?
Roaches.
Okay.
Roaches. I mean, I did do some tegu mix when I had a bunch of tegus. I went to a butcher and ordered turkey necks and beef heart and this and that and the other and bone meal and had them grind it all up for me. And they kind of like that, but they don't like the mash. They want to bite something that's moving. So that seems to be the best way to go. Gotcha. But they're fun, man. They're like, everybody calls them the mini tegu. And that guy on YouTube, Clint's Reptiles, I think that's what his name is. Is that right? Clint. Yeah. He does a really cool video on lacertas. And that's a good stuff like that. Like I said, that pushes the market, and it pushes the right animal. You get your kid a lacerta, you get it a green iguana. You know what I mean? Like, those videos are like really good for that, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, that's an animal that I always kind of looked over because I feel like it's somewhat common at reptile shows, and it's not something that I've really like given much of a afterthought to. But I mean, for a person keeping them inside, how would you typically keep them?
Oh, so I mean, it's kind of interesting how I do it. It's probably a lot different than most people, but I use a vision cage. I put the aluminum tape over the back of the holes, and I hung the Reptile Basics. I love the Reptile Basic bulbs. It's dragon bulbs or whatever they're called, 14%. I hung that on the inside, put a little hole on the outside, run the cord through, and then I put a heat panel in there, no basking spot. And I keep the temp at 84 and drop, and I have a VE 300 X2, so it's got night drop, and I drop it to 72 to 74 at night, so it's got a 10-degree night drop, and they just hammer it. They bask under that 14% bulb. But when I did have a heat light, like a spotlight on there, they never went by that at all. They always wanted to be up and under the UVB, and that heat panel keeps the cage at such a perfect temperature. So,
what's been your experience with babies so far?
Oh, they're crazy. They're kind of scared of everybody, but they eat a lot. I'll throw like, I don't know. I think the baby cage is like 20 babies in it right now, and I'll throw 300 roaches in there, and they last maybe 2 or 3 days. They got a fast metabolism. They poop really fast, but they're so small. Those eggs are teeny. They're like the size of your pinky, like the tip of your pinky, But
How do
the
you
lizard comes out good size. I incubated them with the colubrids, 82 degrees. Everything goes in there, except for, I mean, I had some tortoise eggs. They didn't work out. I was kind of bummed. I had some Herman's eggs, and I only had the one incubator, and I only had 2 Herman's eggs, so I had to put them in there at 82, but they probably need to be at like 86, 87. But there was already 150 colubrid eggs at the time in there, and I don't want to change that for 2 Herman's eggs, so I don't have the Hermans anymore, though. I send them to my buddy Vincent.
Yeah, I mean, once I heard about the whole like people, you can have tortoise eggs that last like 6 months, and you need to cycle them and all this different shit, and I was like, oh my god,
dude,
how does that
is right? Like like people have them in the incubator for like a pregnancy, 9 months. It's like crazy, but yeah, it's not my thing. That's why they got to cycle them, probably, because the damn winter, fall, spring, everything. They take them so long.
Every season, yeah.
I don't know anything about it. That was my first time. I was pretty stoked about getting eggs. I think probably there's nobody in Washington State that's gotten tortoise eggs. I mean, there's probably a few. I have a friend that has some star tortoises up north. He got some eggs and they hatched. But I was stoked about it because I thought, man, I really wanted to be self-sufficient with the tortoises. I wanted redfoots and I wanted Hermans, and I wanted them to come from my house. I bred them. They came from here. It's not buying clutches or whatever. And I'm not against that, and I do it often, But I want it to be from here, from this place, But I abandoned it quick, They just can't spend enough time outdoors, and it's too harsh for them. I do have the Burmese black mountain tortoises, though. I don't know. Have you seen those? The pictures of those?
No.
Everybody's like, "Why do you have those? It'll take too long." Well, I mean, I got 3 kids. They're 4, 5, and 8, and they love this stuff. I mean, they're in it with me. They're hands-on, handling all the animals and feeding, and they want to help. And I don't let them clean, obviously, but I let them work the incubator as far as check the eggs, and they handle the babies out of the incubator. But I want them to have a turnkey project someday, so I've invested quite a bit. I have 3 Black Burmese mountains right now. I got them last year right out of the egg, and they're friggin' huge. They got so big so quick. And I keep them the same way as the lacertas. No basking spot, but I use that 14% bulb with a heat panel and a vision. And I got 5 more coming in the next month. So in 20 years, when they're 28, 25, and 24, they'll have this banger of a project right there in front of them. And hopefully it works out for them, I mean, I'm just kind of thinking of their future. Like, I wish I had some adult Black Burmese mountain tortoises. I probably have a select few colubrids, and that's all I would probably do. I think those are just the coolest tortoises there are. Then people are wanting them. They're becoming popular.
That is something to where, I mean, it seems like with the Hermans and stuff like that, you kind of experiment with different species, and then you kind of figure out what you're into, what you're not into, what you're going to dedicate your room to. And it seems like it's just not your thing, but it seems like these Burmese mountain tortoises easily fulfill that hole. But obviously a much more long-term project.
I've never seen tortoises grow so fast in my life. They came out of the egg. They were like that big. Dude, they are this big. It's been 10 months. It's crazy. I mean, it's insane.
Went from like a $50 to a softball, and
I think that it has to do with, yeah, absolutely. They're like a damn sandwich, like a grilled cheese sandwich already. And I think it has to do with that cage, dude. I'm telling you, that vision cage, high humidity, heat panel. The basking is the 14% UVB and cypress mulch, and they get baths once or twice a week, soaks.
Nice.
And that's the way to go. Some people probably argue you can't keep a reptile without a 120-degree hot spot. Who knows, It's working out for me. Like I said, those tortoises are huge. So hey, I was telling you before we started about the cribo finago. I said I'd make fun of myself a little bit.
Yeah,
You want
go
me to tell
for
a
it.
story? It's pretty embarrassing, you know. But everybody makes mistakes, right? So
Yeah.
I bought these cribos off Fauna. It's a model blacktail female and a clean line male. The model blacktail female was supposed to be from Black Pearl, and the clean line was supposed to be from John West. I bought them from a gentleman in Texas, really nice guy. He was selling his collection to put a down payment on a house. So I totally felt it. I was like, oh, I get that. Done it once before myself. So the clean line's the male, the model's the female. That's what he says. He gives me the paper that says, this is who I bought it from. Comes with it. They're beautiful animals. I put them together last year. You know who Mondo is on Instagram? Dry Marcon Ruby is. He just hashed out those MBKs, got some albinos in there.
Oh,
I'll tag
Armando?
you on his post. Armando, yeah, I call him.
Yeah,
Armando.
yeah, I've seen him.
So he's my homie. Like we've become pretty good friends. I really like him. He's a good guy. He kind of gives me the 411 on the cribos and how to do it, and I follow his information to a T or his whatever, and nothing happens. I'm like, what the hell? The male's a little small, but not too small to breed. The female's big. So the next year, I'm like, I'm not going to give up. And I'm like that, dude. I want it now. Like, if I think they're ready and they don't breed, I'm like, damn it, I'm going to want something else. But I love those snakes. Like, those are the snakes I like the most. And I try again this year, and I'm checking that female's nest box every day like a crackhead. Nothing. And I'm only looking in the male's tub every 4 or 5 days, spot cleaning, check, make sure he isn't shit in his water. And I slide that tub open, and there's like 14 eggs scattered through the tub. And I was like, what the hell? The male was the female. The female was the male. That's why they didn't go the first year, because the female, which I thought was male, was too small. She didn't have a nest box, so she shit out the eggs everywhere. There was 5 good eggs. 2 made it. 1 hatched. The other one pipped the next day. And I waited like 2 days, and he never came out even after he pipped. So I opened it up, and he had a pretty good kink, and he passed away. So I got 1 out of 14 eggs. People would say that's not good odds. I'm happy. I got the 1. I learned a lesson to probe the snakes, no matter who you get them from, no matter what the receipt says, And next year will be a different story.
Yeah,
but I'm embarrassed.
I don't think that's embarrassed at all. I don't think that's embarrassing.
I was hurting.
We've all done it, man.
I was hurting.
When I paired up
myself.
my Louisiana pines, they look exactly the same, and I was just like, I don't know which one it is. I'm going to put lay boxes in both of them just to make sure I have a feeling who it is. But yeah, I mean that happens all the time. Better than having 2 males and putting them together and not getting shit season after season and being like, what the fuck,
Well, from now on, it took me a long time to trust myself with probing. And I still can't pop a baby snake. I don't know if you think it's good or bad or whatever, but I can't do it. I don't trust myself. My hands are strong. They're huge. If I grab a hard-boiled egg, it's fucking breaking. So I just probe now. I finally just gave into it, and I just do it. It's so easy. And for a long time, I was so nervous about it just because, whatever. But I can't remember. I was going to say something funny, and I forgot. But anyway, I was embarrassed just because I felt it was stupid not to know. Just now when I get snakes in, they come out of the bag, they're getting probed right now. I'm going to, and I've been sold animals that were supposed to be female that turned out male, and I didn't know for a couple months. And the guy made it right, but then again, that's something I should have probed him.
I did that. I waited 2 years. I waited until the female was coming up on her breeding season, 2.5 years, and then I look at her, I'm like, that's a male.
Yeah.
Like
corn snakes, you can tell just by looking at them almost.
Yeah.
At that point, the tail length and just the structure of the body. Oh, the Louisiana pines. I actually randomly bought a pair off Fauna in 2017. They were my first big colubrids, and I bred them. I was really proud of that project, and they were lineage from, I can't even pronounce his name, Van de Vetter. Yeah, they were lineage from him, and I sold them to my friend in Spokane, Washington, Hunter Sheffield Reptiles. Good guy. He's got him up there now. He didn't pair him this year. Maybe he did. But I got 4 eggs the first year. Man, when I opened that tub, those eggs looked like a ballpark hot dog. They were huge. I couldn't believe it. But I was super proud of it. And I brought them to all the shows, and I was showing them off, and no one bought them. No one knew what they were. No one cared. So I was like,
Do that now, it'd be a different story.
I kind of wish I still had them. Yeah. But not for that aspect of it, just because they were mean. They were shitty snakes, dude. They were kissy, and they'd strike 3 feet at you. And
okay, so at least you have a similar experience, because my friend James, who's in the chat, always makes fun of my pines for being so terrible, and he can handle them. I have Vandy Venterline shit too, so maybe it's something there. I don't know.
How do you see the chat? Can I not see it, or only you can?
Yeah, no, only I can, but I can I could show you some comments and stuff like that, you know?
Cool. I just wanted.
Yeah, it's just stuff. They're talking about their own stuff, so that's why it's all confusing. That's why I try not to get too caught up in it myself.
Shit, we've been rolling for 50 minutes already. That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? And this guy said, I want to.
I was all worried about doing this. I want to make sure I'd entertain, have a good time. That first time we tried to do it, I mean, with my work schedule, you were talking about that before we went live. I worked 7-day tours at a paper mill. Basically, I worked 7 graveyards with 1 day off, 7 swing shifts, 2 days off, 7 day shifts, 3 days off. That's your whole month. So everybody gets 4 weekends. I only get a 3-day weekend, a 2-day weekend, a 1-day weekend. Then I roll back to graveyard, and I burn all my vacation for doing shows. So it's kind of shitty for the family. We still get a vacation in there somewhere. Last year we went to Sun River. This year we went to Vegas. We got family in Vegas. They say Vegas isn't for kids, but I tell you what, my kids loved it. We had a great time. They absolutely loved it. They want to go back. So between that and 400 snakes, dude, I'm dying. I do have some local help and some local friends, and they've been a lot of help to me. And my wife has really stepped up as well. She did not like snakes when we met. She kind of tricked me. She never said it was a problem until we bought our house, and then it was a problem. And I slowly moved them into the garage, and from the garage they came in the house. And now that whole room's full, and now she's in the incubator every day checking eggs, and that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see. Well, she sees we have 2 girls. The youngest is 4, and she loves holding the snakes out of the incubator. Everything's a baby shark. She calls them baby sharks. And when you see a 4-year-old hold a snake and you want to do it yourself, you're kind of like, oh man, what am I, maybe I should. So yeah, she takes care of them out of the incubator. It's kind of cool to see. It really, really makes me happy. So from going to the point of being deathly afraid of something that can't really hurt you, to accepting it. And she's been working the shows with me. And like I said, we got local friends that come work the shows, and they're all in. And I give them a percentage of their sales, and we go that route. And another local friend comes and has worked in the room, and I'll pay him by the hour just to help out when I work a lot of 12s. Those 7-day shifts are 8-hour shifts, but when someone goes on vacation, it gets split between 2 people. Like last week, I worked 7 12s on day shift. Thank God it was day shift, but that's a lot of fucking hours, man. So I definitely need to
do graveyard, flip it over, do a show the next day.
Oh, that first show I ever did, I walked into the show. I got off at 6:30 in the morning, swung by the house, grabbed everything, was packed up, ready, drove just 8 minutes across the bridge. And that Portland show is just awesome. I've been trying to get Dave Kaufman to come to that show. He's like the one YouTube persona that I really I like, and I follow, and I watch his YouTube stuff. Everything that comes out, and I think he's a great guy, and I think he needs to come to that show and see that 1-day Portland show and how live it is, how wild it is. I think he needs to come. I think that people are ready to see him. I think it'd be a really great thing. But anyway, I rolled into that off graveyard about 11, 12 o'clock. I'm throwing up in the trash can just from fatigue, just getting after it. It's hard, man. I don't do graveyard that well, but I'll just push through it. So.
Yeah, I don't know if you haven't worked that shift, your body never gets used to it. You always feel off, and then it's just not your natural circadian rhythm. So
imagine doing all 3 shifts.
Yeah, especially if you need to switch over all the time. Yeah.
Tonight's my last graveyard shift. So, I won't go to bed when I get home in the morning. I'll stay up and I'll nap for an hour and a half. That way at 9 or 10 o'clock, I'm crashing with the family. And I wake up the next day, and then that's my day off. I don't ever count that day when you get home off graveyard at 6:30 as your day off because you feel like shit.
And you
kind of
sleep
have a
through
day and a half off. Yeah, but I go to bed at 9:00 every time I wake up, and then the next 2 weeks are easy because it's swinging days. But it throws me right back on the schedule.
How do you deal with like cleaning animals, feeding animals? You do it before work, after work. How do you manage all that?
So, I use it's that paper pellets. It's cat litter, but it's not scented. It's just all natural. And I'm telling you, man, that stuff has changed the game for me. I used to use Aspen. I used to use Sandy chips. I have liners. I went to a paper company just down the road, and I took all my tubs with me, and I said, I want liners for this stuff. And I bought $400 for the liners, like 10,000 liners for all the Vision tubs and the I-60 or I-160 and I-80s. And I used those for a while, but one poop and you got to change it, So I switched to that. I got the Amazon. Every 3 weeks, they drop off 4 huge bags of that litter, that's just paper pellets. And we spot clean for 2 to 3 weeks, 3 or 4 times a week. And that stuff lasts forever. No smell, no nothing. And after the third, the fourth week, we do a complete bedding change because, the colubrids, they poop like crazy.
Yeah.
So feed once a week. The little guys get fed twice a week, the little babies. We got on a pretty good schedule. It took a while to figure it out, though. The boas only get fed I would say, I don't go 15 days. I probably go 12. So we had our first litter of boas this year. I'm pretty stoked about that.
What'd you produce?
I have a snow female, and Michael sent me a Roswell ladder-tail het call posset anery, and it proved out. So it's het snow. So we made Roswell ladder-tail aneries, and we made snows, but none of the snows carried the Roswell ladder-tail. So
okay, what the hell are you talking about? What is a Roswell? Those are all mutations?
Yeah, it's a ladder tail. It's like they call it a ladder tail because it looks like a ladder. It has like perfect squares rather than so what the hell are you talking about? But you know what a snow is, Yeah. That's funny. I'll shoot you a picture. I'll tag you in a picture. Okay. I don't know why they call it Roswell. I just call them ladder tails, but dog's barking. French bulldog. She must see somebody.
That is like some type of BCI.
What's that?
The BCI boa of some sort.
I think they're BCC. I think that's kind of like the snows have some BCC in them because the snow is huge, and the Roswell ladder tail is very thin and very long. So I think they got a little bit of a mix. They're not like the sun glow and all that other stuff that are BCI, short and fat. They're definitely longer bodied, thicker bodied snakes. I'm not really sure though. I should probably know, but you can't know everything. Like there's a woman in Washington, Celestial Exotics. Her name's DM. She just does boas. She's been a big help to me. Michael breeds, I don't know, I'd probably say 20 litters a year of boas, so he helps me a lot too. Between the two of them, if I need to know something, if a customer asks, I'll go to them. But I kind of know more about the colubrid stuff for sure.
Yeah, I think we all have those things to where you refer to others. It's not like your main project that you're working with, so you kind of defer your knowledge to others sometimes to figure out.
If somebody starts talking to me in scientific names, I'll just end the chat. I don't do that either. I don't like that. I can't keep up with that, man. I got too many animals to know that stuff, so I can't stand that. I'm like, oh man, I know I should know this stuff, and I just don't. So I'm just like, next person.
it gets me when someone throws out like the scientific name of a gecko, and I'm like, man, I can barely do snakes. Let's calm down with
the Latin names, dude. It's crazy.
They're like, you don't work with
they're all 3 words.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I breed reptiles. What are you talking about? Yeah.
So so obviously you got boas this year, and I mean that must be completely different than the other boas you bred were rosy boas, right?
And they're just like corn snakes.
Yeah.
You cool them 3 to 4 months, feed them, put them together, live birth. Man, I remember the first time I opened that tub. I built these homemade racks with these IKEA shelves. They worked really well too. It was back in the day. Everything I have now is from Chris with Sea Serpents. I love Chris. He's a hell of a cool guy. Met him in person. We had a few drinks at Pomona this year. I love supporting that guy. I love his builds, and I got some Vision stuff. But anyway, I built that homemade rack, and And I don't know if I'm doing it right. I was 20 years old, 21 years old. Slide that tub open, it's full of babies. Man, it was exciting. Top 5 days of my life. The first time it's a cool thing, and that's when you know that people are real. Like they really into. It's not about the money. It's an accomplishment. People do it by accident and they don't even care. We all work so hard to do it, and the sun's really coming in. I'm gonna see if I can slide over.
Yeah. So, I mean, it must be so much different now. I mean, you have so many species going on. I mean, you must have
I should have been here from the beginning.
Oh yeah, that looks perfect. I mean, how many species have you bred for the first time this year?
The knobs, the gray bandeds, the Florida Kings, the boas, the lacertas. I think it's probably
Cribo.
It.
Was that this year?
The cribos. Well, we only count that one guy. That one.
Hey, you
baby.
still did it, man.
Yeah, I know. My bulls didn't go. I actually sold Dave Kaufman one of my male bulls because I shouldn't have sold. I should have sold to him. I'm glad he got it. He got some awesome babies from it, but I didn't use it because I had an albino and I was trying to use him. And I was like, I don't need 2 bulls. I only have 1 or 2 males. I only have 1 female ready to rock. And I'm raising up some males. And Dave wanted it, needed it. So I hooked him up with it. And then I didn't get a clutch. I was kind of burned out on that. I was like, damn it. But, that male was ready to rock, hadn't been bred, wanted to breed. I sent it to him. And he's kind of the bull snake guy anyhow. So, next year will be another story. I'll have 3 or 4 females ready to go, and I think they need to be cooled a little cooler too. The females, I don't know. Who knows about that? A lot of people say the males are really where the coolness matters, as far as like the brumation periods and stuff. But
something may happen. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, next year though, I'm gonna be after it. So.
And is there anything that you're focused on? Or I guess we haven't talked a little bit about like hognose projects or anything you got going on.
So yeah, my hognose stuff is all. Jason Taylor's kind of like the hognose guru. That is Beyond Genetics. He's a good guy. We've become friends over the last couple of years, and I got some Arctics through him. Got some other cool stuff through him. So hopefully those Arctics will go. And I actually I think I love the really expensive stuff, but that market's only so big. And the stuff that holds their value and the stuff that people can afford, at least where I'm at, is the Conda, albino, the xanthics, the snows. I like to stay within that, believe it or not. I think I saw somebody, I don't know which hognose guy it was, posted the other day, a few months ago, a clutch of all his hognose, and they were just albinos, and they were different kind of. Some were orange, some were yellow, and some were Conda, and some weren't. And he said, this clutch right here is still to him the most valuable clutch because they actually sell it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get stuck with a bunch of animals. I want to be able to have that sale. I want to, and not for the money, but for the customer, and for me. And like I said, I like that interaction. I also don't want to send stuff to Hong Kong. I know people do it, and I think it's helped raise the value of our animals here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it helps lower our supply rather.
Yeah,
which actually
puts the demand on. And I wanted to touch more about that is, like South Korea and Japan are kind of getting into that. And, all that's from Instagram. All these people posting beautiful animals and the animals look nice and they're well taken care of. And like I'm telling you, it's really heightened how people have to care for their stuff. People can't, take pictures of animals in glass tanks with bare minimum anymore. You know what I mean? Like people protect their investment when they spend that money. And they really care for their animal. It just seems like now more than ever, people are into caring for their animals.
Or just like keeping one pet even. I love seeing that.
Yeah, as opposed to like hoarding a shitload of reptiles. Like you see all those memes, you can't have one snake, you gotta have 15. Or you either have 1 or 15 or whatever. Like people really seem to be all in on their pets. And I really think it's because the social media, like, they want to show it off. Well, it's got to be well taken care of. Their house, their environment's got to be well taken care of. And I think that's so awesome. It's really changed the hobby,
mm-hmm.
In a good way, a really good way. And then the war on social media, now they're coming after everybody for snakes. Whatever that's all about.
Yeah, that's something to where we're definitely seeing a change from obviously selling on Facebook and all that stuff, and now we got to find different avenues. I mean, obviously you're doing shows and stuff like that. Are the bulk of your sales coming from shows or online, or how does that work?
Instagram, I say, is probably like 10 to 20%. I don't think I've sold barely anything off Facebook, but I've bought off Facebook. I like Instagram so much more. There's no politics on it. I follow reptile accounts. I follow a few friends from growing up. And actually, I have you on my close friends tab. I post pictures of the family once in a while. I know you've been seeing them because I put you in the, they have that tab for close friends. So if you do a story, I put you on there. I know you're a good dude. So, I don't want to post my family on my reptile account, but I don't know. Instagram recently just made one of the where you select like art or small business. They have one that says reptile pet shop, and I've seen other people are using it. My friend Savannah, she's in Florida. She's got some tegus that we have a tegu project together. Safari Savvy Reptiles. She's a cool chick. She shot my name out on a podcast. So there you go, Savannah. I gave you one back. She had selected that reptile pet shop. And I thought, man, are they doing that so they can, I got all like suspicious. Are they doing that so they can pick us apart and dump us? But then I thought, maybe they're doing it because they want people to be legit. If you're going to do it. So I put it up last week. I don't know. We'll see if I stick around.
I mean, we've been taken down. We're, retail pet shop or whatever the hell we're supposed to be.
You have or haven't?
I'm categorized that way, yeah.
No, you have been taken down or you haven't?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't post directly for sale ads though also, so.
Man, I have the website, evergreenstatereptiles.com, but I bought my website through a server in like Europe. It was only like $75 a year, and it's hard to do the customer service thing if you need help because they're awake when I'm asleep. Well, I guess I'm awake almost always, but nevertheless, there's been some issues as far as like when I post stuff, animals for sale, I figure what I end up having to do is post an item for shipping and then put an instruction. Like if you buy a snake on the website, make sure to put $55 flat rate shipping in your cart as well. You know what I mean? And then if I sell a hat or a shirt, it's just free shipping. So I need to put that instruction on there. There's only a couple. I got some albino checkered garters on there now, but I got so many snakes for sale. I got 150, 200 snakes. It's so hard. I got to get somebody to run that website. It's just so hard to even if somebody's running the website, they still need me for direction. And it's hard to have somebody do that when I don't work day shift,
Yeah, like for me, I've been trying to kind of like train Melissa to do that because obviously I can work with the animals all I want, and Melissa, doesn't care that much to work with them that intensely, and try to have her, put up the ads, but then she runs out of time, and it's just and I run into the same problem. I can't put shipping separately for some reason on our website, so I need to do them all shipped prices, which is kind of a pain in the ass because shipping.
Well, then if somebody wants to buy more than one,
right?
I think that's the way to do. Make an item that's like put a shipping box as a picture and say instructions at the top. Put this in your cart if you choose a live animal. One time, I do $55 flat rate. I never charge more. Never charge that. Sometimes it's $75. Sometimes it's $46. It just is what it is. Most of the time, 9 out of 10 packages are going to cost me $70 or $65. I don't give a crap. I don't care. It is what it is. I don't care about PayPal fees. I don't care about losing $10 on shipping. I throw stickers in every box. Cost me $3 or $4 that way. Whatever. It all works out in my favor in the end, or the favor of the animal or the customer. Everybody's happy. I guess not my favor, but the animal sells. There's some profit margin, and I can move on to the next sale. You can't be too precise, or else it's never going to work out.
Right. So what kind of things do you like to do as far as packaging and marketing your stuff, when someone opens the box?
I mean, it seems like everybody kind of does the same thing anymore. You put the cards and the stickers on top of the styrofoam or whatever. I bought some cheap stickers and I put those on the deli cups. Unless it's going to a homie, they're not getting nothing because they already got it. But if it's going to a new customer, like somebody buys on Instagram, I put a sticker on the deli, a cheap sticker on the deli. I put a couple business cards in the box, and I put some high-end die stickers, and I got magnets. I put those in. So I recently just bought coasters. Can't think of what the heck the name is. They're always showing up on your Instagram feed, and I'm going to put those inside the delis at the shows. So instead of those white paper things, like I use that bedding too, or the white paper, and I treat every liner before I go to shows so nothing comes home with me. But I'm going to use those coasters, and it's going to have my logo in every deli at the table. It's going to look badass.
That's dope.
That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, like that is something that honestly just starting to do more shows we're kind of getting into too. But we do like
have your thing
coasters and stuff. But yeah, the coaster's legit. I mean, that is like in a perfect world, we'd have some type of like deli cup liner with the logo on it and everything. That'd be amazing.
I looked into getting those liners printed, and it was ridiculously expensive. And then I found those coasters, and I thought, and they drop right in. They're the same size as the damn deli cup. And I was like, oh, now everybody's going to do it. They're going to hear it on here. Going to have 5,000 people listening to the podcast.
I'm a dickhead, and I got square deli cups, so I can't do it. But
I got those
otherwise,
too.
I would immediately. Yeah. Otherwise, I would steal your shit right now.
You could. I'm telling you. I also don't like those 3-tier displays. Because when the snake, I try not to feed my snakes for a week before the show. I want all that stuff gone. I don't care if they pee, but when they poop in those, I used to have those 3-tier displays. I use them for 2 shows, and I trade them for a snake. I'm done with that. I like the deli cup because if a snake poops on the deli cup, I use wet wipes, 1 circle, or just replace the deli cup. And I use the displays for the deli cups. A lot of people don't like it. I like it because I cannot stand those friggin' displays with colubrids. They stink so much when they start crapping in those corners, and once you wipe them, they always have streaks. The acrylic gets scratched. I'm just not a fan of it. But I mean, I know a lot of people like them. They probably work good for certain stuff, but I don't think they do well for colubrids at all.
So do you do there's cutout circles and then the deli cup like plops into it? And then there's like plexiglass over it or acrylic, whatever it is.
Exactly. Well, I'm working on something with the fabricator at work. He's making me a display out of stain. And it's not going to be stainless. It's going to be powder coated white. And my logo is going to hang down in the front. So it'll look like a tablecloth runner. Off that, it's going to be welded. So the deli cups will sit in that. But right now I have the acrylic, like the black, what is it? PVC with the deli cups drop in and the acrylic lays over it. But those even get scratched. I can't stand that look. As soon as something gets scratched, I don't mind having them open. No one's ever tried to steal from me. There's been people stealing from shows left and right. I've never had an issue, and I'm standing right there. So I'm not too worried about it. You're also bigger
than everyone else behind the table of the whole show.
That doesn't necessarily matter. People like to challenge the big guy once in a while.
Yeah, I guess so.
I want to say the last Seattle show, some guys walked up to a tortoise table and they were handling tortoises. Next thing you know, the tortoises weren't in their hands. They handed off to people behind them. It was like 3 or 4 tortoises they're pancake tortoises, so they're like $500, $400. That guy was about $1,600, $2,000 right there. So, that doesn't happen too much, but I've seen on YouTube where it happened at Pomona recently. People were putting deli cups under their baby and their stroller and all sorts of shit. I wish that would happen to me. I want that to happen. I'm waiting for that. But.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't like the look of like, the deli cups on the table and then you put the like plastic netting over it or stuff like that so people don't steal them. Like that looks janky. Also, but
yeah. Some of those guys that have 8 tables at a show, though, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, especially in California. The shows get so crazy, and you should come out sometime for one of those shows. I don't know what the shows are like where you're at, but I want to go to Daytona and I want to go to Tinley, but I love Pomona, and I think they're moving that show. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure if they are or not, or the San Diego Super Show. You kind of have to, man. There's like, when I went to San Diego in 2016, there was 10 people back, 20 people across at the forefront tables. I mean, and hands are everywhere, you know.
Yeah, that's all. And
So
I need to go to Pomona. That's really you. You
it's
went
awesome.
2 weekends ago or so. When
No,
was
it
it?
was this. It was yesterday. It was
Oh
Saturday
shit!
and Saturday. I sent some animals to Michael. We sent animals back and forth, and he's came up and worked a show with me here, and I went down there twice now for shows. But the Pomona, I actually like the San Diego Super Show a little bit more personally.
Really?
It's not as fast paced, but it's faster than anything you've seen. Like Pomona is like hectic, and it's some of those. Nothing against some of those guys, but some of those big breeders and YouTube stars, they kind of have the celebrity persona, and it's, I don't know, it's a little weird. There's a lot of pictures with fans and stuff. There's like booth setups for them to take pictures with fans.
Oh, so like, so everyone came out and did like little meet and greet type deals.
Yeah, I like that though. I mean, like Dave walks around and he talks to folks and stuff, and he films his show. And I love his shows when he's at the shows he films, or the YouTube show when he's at the show. Those are my favorite shows.
And people don't realize how big of a pain in the ass that is to get like decent sound and a decent video out of the chaos.
I watched Dave film at Michael's table, and I watched him run through like the same cut like 20 times because of how loud it is and the distractions and stuff. And he's super professional. So yeah, it takes a lot of work. Those guys work hard. But
yeah, I think
it's kind of weird though, seeing everybody being a celebrity, you know,
because everyone
about the animals.
And yeah, I guess that is kind of weird. Is the point where I guess, which always happens to a certain extent, that personalities are outweighing, you know, the actual animals.
It's not too bad, but it's kind of funny.
But they're also building.
They earned it. They earned it. Whatever. They earned it, and it's good for the community. Like every one of those clicks, every one of those views, it's good for everybody involved. It's good for the animals. Like I say, I swear to God, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook has changed the way animals. 10 years ago, I'd go across the bridge and look at somebody's collection. I wouldn't even go in their house. You know what I mean? Like, I've been to some of those houses where it's like a hoarding house, and it's like, shit, you know, is there a cobra coming up from behind me? You know?
I used to hate getting off of Craigslist and pulling up to like the sketchiest people's place.
Oh man. Crazy. I used to get a lot of stuff off Craigslist like that, racks and supplies, and I hit the jackpot of all jackpots this last summer. I got 3 boa files off OfferUp for $25.
No,
I swear to God. And I went to go pick them up. I saw it and I was like, what the hell? And I messaged the lady and I said, I'll take them right now. And I went to go get it, and she said her brother moved to the Midwest and took his snakes, couldn't take the cages, and she told him just to give them away or whatever. And she was having a garage sale, so she put them in a garage sale for $25 for all 3, and then took a picture and put it on OfferUp. And man, that was a big deal.
Well, think
I was
about.
stoked.
I mean, like, as a person who doesn't know anything about reptiles, these are plastic boxes, you know, with sliding glass. Doesn't seem that expensive, but damn, that's a deal.
I thought they were animal plastics when I first got them, and I sent a picture to a friend because I never had any boa file stuff. I always use Visions. And he's like, those are boa files. And sure enough, you know, they got the locking doors and flip down or whatever, and they got that plastic weld. I've used some cages that people have made with a PVC, and if they animal, it doesn't matter if they're sealed or not, or you put caulking in the corner, if the animal pisses, you see it run down the outside of the cage. I'm not for that. I can't do that. Those are gone. You know, I have to have the real stuff. That's why, like I said, sea serpents. Chris is a cool guy, great prices, ships to you, handles biz, and then of course Vision, everything's enclosed, boa files, everything enclosed, wipe it out, cleaned it up. So
yeah, it seems like there's not many cage manufacturers who come through on their promises and things come in an orderly fashion. So it seems like Chris at Sea Serpents does that well.
You got any of this stuff?
No, I actually don't. which is kind of weird because I'm not really like rec centric, but I have some TGR stuff. But.
I have the Reptile Basics hatchling racks, those I-60s, 160s, and I-80s. And I can't stand the space, but for the amount of time that the animals are in those racks, it's so short-lived. I try to sell, like hognose, 3 unscented meals, I sell them, and they never turn back. Colubrids, every other colubrid, I do 5 meals. But so, I mean, they're in there for such a short time, but those tubs are so small. And I have to buy like these little teeny ceramic dishes off Amazon for it.
Yeah, that's kind of a pain. The
cleaning is a pain.
Well, that's better than what I do is I do the Chinese takeouts or the deli cups, like the larger deli cups. Damn, does that get to be a pain in the ass when you open 100 of those things. So
a friend of mine does that. He keeps everything in the incubator until it sells because the incubator's at 82. He feeds in there, keeps them in there, cleans in there. He's got a huge incubator, one of those double door Coca-Cola ones. And it works out really well for him. He's using the same thing. He goes to the restaurant supply store in town and burns a couple holes, and that's what he does.
That's actually pretty brilliant if you are someone who's like worried about biosecurity, and therefore you can have a separate hatchling room, but it's not even a room. It can just be your incubator in a different room in the corner, like tucked in somewhere, and then your adults are in a totally separate room.
Exactly. He kills it that way. I mean, does really well that way. And animals like I mean, try to find hatchlings in December or January. All the people that are breeding, you, me, and the other 1,000 people, there's no hatchlings available. They sell quick, you know what I mean? They sell quick. I'm going to hold some back so I have stuff for the shows in January. January is a big show in Portland. That's been my best show ever. It's a one-day show. It's 7 hours. Everything has to be captive bred. And that's been my best show. This next weekend is Portland, August 17th. But the January one's for some reason, it's the better show. And I want to have stuff. So I'm going to Sacramento next month. I'm really excited about that. I know you saw that trailer I bought, right? See the trailer?
Yeah.
Let's get the decals put on it right now. I'm getting the Evergreen State on the sides, on the front right, so when I'm driving down the road, people see it, or the front left, right when you're looking at it. One on the back, and then a window decal that you can see through on my truck. But I'm headed down to Sacramento, guns loaded. I'm going to handle it. That's going to be a big deal for me. Hopefully I have those lights I want. But I'm bringing a bunch of, we'll see what happens. It'll be like my first time ever going to California vending myself. So I'm stoked about it.
You ever thought of flipping your season upside down? I know people have done it. I'm not doing it, but have you thought about it?
I think I could. I don't think I could because I use the natural temperature of my garage to burmate. I do the old Thanksgiving week to end of February type thing. Some animals I'll leave in burmation till March. Some I'll pull out in the middle of February. But if I pull them all out at once, it's too much work, man. I'll be passed out on the floor in there. So I try to do half, and then 2 weeks later do another half. But we have seasons here, real seasons. Like it's cold as hell in the winter, and it's pretty warm in the summer, and then we have a pretty nice fall and a real spring. So that's why I like colubrids. That's not why I like colubrids. I like colubrids because I like colubrids, and it just worked out that where I'm at geographically, it's perfect for the species. So, and hopefully for the boas. I mean, I got the one this year. I missed one. The other 2 didn't go. I got 6 females now, so adult females, and I'm not going to go any more than that. That's a lot. As far as they shit the size of a Doberman, they're huge. You know, they piss tons. It's like a damn 2 liters of pee every time they pee.
And I feel like that's one of those animals where, I mean, people usually, if you have 6, you don't hit 6 out of 6 in a season. It's kind of one of those things where they sparingly go, and you know, you'll get a few to go one year and the next. And
well, it was my first year. I had 4 females and 2 males, and everybody says you should go 1-to-1. But I mean, I only had what I had to work with. The snow was my priority. She went. I have a motley, and they were locked up forever. And then I walked in the room, and there's all the sweet tomatoes or sweet potatoes, everybody calls it, that was a punch in the gut. I couldn't believe she dropped 26 infertile, whatever, and they were paired up off and on, and that was probably where I screwed up, off and on, just probably barely missed ovulation. And the other two were paired up as well, and they locked up for a long time, and they didn't breed. But next year they will, I hope. I don't know. Like I said, I'm still learning the whole cycle. People say boas are easy. For me, it hasn't been easy. I tried the snow boa last year, and she didn't go.
Yeah, I think it's a totally different mentality than we're used to, I think. And a lot of people have issues with boas. That's why, I mean, I wouldn't be confident in my abilities for sure.
Oh, dude, I'd call my buddy. I call Michael and my buddy Vincent, VM Reptiles, and I'd be like, I'm done with these boas, man. I'm sending them to you. I give up. And they're like, oh, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. And I'm like, oh, it's June. It's July. I'm done with this. And then all of a sudden, there's all these babies in the cage. And that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. So did you give up by the time you ended up getting them?
No, I could tell the snow boa was gravid. She got super lean and so big in the middle. And I was actually kind of worried about her, but I was reading online. A lot of people say some boas you can't tell, and some boas look like shit when they're gravid. And I'll tell you what, though, she ate the next day. She was eating, ready to go, taking rabbits again. And she looks like a completely different snake already. It's only been, 6 weeks. So, but it kind of worried me because she was like, my youngest daughter, her middle name is Pearl. And I bought that boa from a woman who bought it from a breeder some out where in the Midwest, and she paid a lot of money for it. She's a deaf woman, and I met her online, and she was local. She was moving, and she had named it Pearl. So they share the same name. So we, she's kind of like special to the kids as far as Harlan's middle name is Pearl, and the snake's name is Pearl. And then she started looking like hell after she started getting gravid, and I was a little worried about it. But she looks amazing now, and she's super tame. Good feeding response, but super tame.
I guess that's the one thing with the kids. It's like you don't want their favorite snake, anything to happen to their favorite snake.
No, I don't. You don't want to subject them to death. So try to explain that, But once in a while, I don't know how you do it with colubrids, but this year specifically, the first time I ever had a snake die in the egg was the Louisiana pines. I had an egg not hatch, and I don't want to cut eggs ever. I don't want to be that guy. I know people do it with balls and they do it with retics and stuff, but I don't feel like it's something you should do with colubrids. And obviously I opened it up after like 4 or 5 days, and its mouth was open and it had like choked on the yolk, and its egg tooth, it didn't have an egg tooth, because I took the other 3 and looked at them really closely, all had egg tooth, so it couldn't get out, and it died that way. But this year, I want to say, haven't lost a single hognose out of probably 150, 200 eggs. But I lost 1 gray banded in the egg, fully developed. I lost the entire clutch of cow king, fully developed in the egg. Not a single one had an egg tooth. There was 13 of them. It was so weird. And I lost one of the knobs, fully developed in the egg. But I mean, as I was telling my wife, we were talking about it, I was like, you got to think, in the wild, they lay a clutch of 10 eggs, probably 4 hatch, maybe. I don't know. Do all of them hatch? Who knows?
Or if they do, they all half of them get eaten anyway, and then 1 or 2 make it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it seems like with the colubrids, every other clutch I lost 1 fully developed baby in the egg. And I know it's not the incubator, it's Chris's incubator, and that sucker hums at 82, never drops or goes up. And 82 seems to be, I don't know what you incubate at, 82 seems to be the spot for me.
82.
Yeah, that's the best.
But I let it swing
across the board.
I let it swing this year, and I've had so many stillborns, and I'm like, maybe I should go back to being like very particular about it, because I usually get good hatch rates. I got like 100% last year, and this year I'm probably at like 70%. Dude, it's like this year was a complete shit show.
Yeah, I didn't lose a single animal last year, but I also had 7 clutches instead of 27, and I think opening the incubator to add clutches, and I don't check on eggs. I know some of these guys on here, especially the Tegu breeders. They're handling the eggs every day. Like, leave
They're
that shit
tickling
alone.
it on the belly, see if it pops out or whatever the hell they do.
And that's one thing about Savannah that I like. I sent her my big female red. She has a beautiful red male. We got 34 eggs, and those eggs hatched over like a 9-day period, and she never fucked with them. She just left them alone. And I was watching that video the other day, and I won't say who it was, but he had a customer in the back rubbing a Tegu egg, and the Tegu flies out, hits the bin, hits the table, lands on the ground, and they're like, "There's your Tegu." I'm like, "Holy shit!" It's got 2
Oh God!
I mean, I know
Why?
that people do that, and it's cool, but I like that she just let it happen, just let it do itself. Everything hatched, nobody was pushed out, you know.
Like, I get that stuff is cute for Instagram, but I mean, otherwise, man, why don't you just let them come out?
Yeah. Well, that clutch of 13 Cow King eggs, you know who Jerry Hartley is, right?
No. Well, I may have seen his stuff.
He's got the locality herps. He breeds all pure locality rosies and Cow Kings and bulls and gophers. Cool guy, older guy. He's like 20 minutes east of Reno. He's kind of a guy that, it's funny because I always hear him talking about his mentors, and he's not my mentor by any means, but I've only recently got his attention as far as knowing who I am and talking to him. But I've been watching him since I was 20. He had those websites, Locality Rosies. It's no longer there. Now he's got Locality Herps in general, or whatever it is. And he's my mentor as far as being in the back and watching him. You know, I like everything about him. He's a good guy. He's a good father. He's a good snake breeder. And I messaged him. I said, these snakes are at 63 days. I'm a little worried about him. He's like, I got some there at 63 too. Don't worry about it too much. Because mine always hatch at about 58, 59 latest. I wish I would have got those eggs. Those snakes were so beautiful. All 13 of them fully, completely. But, you know, what if they weren't meant to be, and then you sell them to somebody and they die on them in 2 months or something? You never know. Yeah. So.
Well, I had a whole clutch of het palmettos. I got I got 4 like normal het palmettos or like tesseras, and then a ghost tessera het palmetto dead in the egg, a ghost het palmetto dead in the egg, and a ghost dead in the egg, and like a couple more. And I was just like, fuck me. I mean, there's just
that ghost tessera would have been nice to keep and breed.
Yeah.
What would a tessera palmetto look like?
Probably
Is there one
nothing.
out there yet?
I think someone did make one, and it didn't really have an effect, which is kind of shitty, but
because the way the pattern is. I got a female het palmetto that I've been raising up. She's big already. I've only had her for like 8 or 10 months, and she was a yearling when I got her. My buddy Jeremy gave her to me, and I got some scaleless stuff going. I never thought I'd be into the scaleless, but there's something about it that I like. Got a tessera, amel tessera, het scaleless, and then the normal Okati scaleless het amel. So there could be some cool stuff come out of that, but it'll be a couple years away yet. So
yeah, that's something where I always loved the look of the scaleless things, but I never took the plunge. And now I feel like I'm too late, so I'll just let you guys mess with it.
I'm too late. I mean, it was a baby last year, but I don't really give a shit. I want to do it because I like the animals, and the kids like it, and the customers like to see it too. I mean, I'm not really worried about the value later. And people do seem to kind of focus on that. You know, something's new and it costs $10,000, and then in 4 years it's going to cost $500. So what? You know, in the end, produce a few clutches, you'll make your money back. It should, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really care. It all comes out. You'll make money on this project. You might not make money on this one, or might make a little, but when you put it all in the same pot, it's, you know, you're making enough. I've never taken money out of the hobby, by the way. Last year we had a pretty good year, and I just bought more infrastructure, more racks, more animals, more supplies, more everything. I've never like taken $1 out for anything. I've never like had a fat wad of cash in my pocket and like, this is snake money, and, you know, went and bought dumb shit. I just, like, I'm paying for my trailer with profits. Then I bought the trailer for the shows, and I'm still paying off some of the infrastructure as far as racks go. And I would say I'm definitely not profitable yet, but I'm not behind either. It's paying for itself. So, and that's all I wanted.
Right. With all this growth, I mean, is there a time where you want to be full time?
I mean, we'd have to move and buy some property with a shop on it, you know.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't want to be full time for like it's kind of like hypocritical. I don't know. I wouldn't want to like the dog's barking back there.
No,
I'd want to be full time for the mere fact to do something I love, opposed to make it about the finances. It's got to be you got to be sustainable if you do full time. You know, right now I'm the only person that works in the house, so you know,
yeah. There's
it's
going to be a
not anytime
position.
soon.
There's going to be a position where you have to pay the bills, and you're going to have to figure out how to do that. And letting go of live animals can be a tricky way to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the California shows will help me with making big enough sales to be able to maybe push to that area. But anything local isn't enough. You know what I mean? Like the Portland and Seattle, the sales aren't.
Oh no, you went quiet. Must be having a little bit of a connection issue, but you've been your connection's been fine this whole time. But I feel like I don't know anything about like West Coast herpers or anything. I feel like he's throwing out names here that I should know. I've heard of Brace, which has amazing corn snakes and stuff like that, and I'm sure people will let me hear what other people I should have known but didn't necessarily know. But let me see if I can get Shane out of the stream and get back into it. Oh, now he's just completely black. This is where I wish I had Melissa to my left so we could talk about who knows what. But now it's just me. The chat is talking about scrub pythons, which is another thing I don't know anything about. You're alive.
I'm back.
Nice.
I had to said get closer to the router, so here I am, closer to the router.
Perfect.
Does that mess the show up a lot or what?
Nah, no, you're good. I was just talking to myself.
So anyway, yeah, I was just saying, I think the key to like expansion for me will be these California shows. I just can't make the sales I need to have to grow if I stay at the Portland and Seattle shows. So,
how do you do you plan on getting to Pomona in San Diego? Or do you plan on going all the way down there?
Well, I've done a couple. I just ship the animals, but I never ship like a ton. Just
you're not filling a table
20
with
or
all
30. You know, that's like a 16-hour drive. Sacramento is like an 8.5-hour drive, so that's no big deal. But with my work schedule, I can't go all the way down there and like set a table up. But right. I can fly down there and do it for the weekend if it lands on my long weekend. If it doesn't, I don't have the time off. So that's definitely holding me back.
Yeah. I mean, there must be just so many more considerations that, I mean, you got a family, you got all the reptiles. I mean, in order to go full time, that's a really big deal.
Yeah. I mean, that's in the end, and I can't do it myself either. Like I said, that's why I think the connections are so important. You know, I have breeding loans with a few different people, like Vincent. We got the Womas together. Savannah. I've got Tegus. I got Greg Power in Texas. He's a good ass dude. Dynamal. I got a Tegu over there with him. Just one animal. But Jeremy, I've got some of his Florida Kings, and he's got some of my corns, and that kind of stuff, man. That all matters. Like that. When you all of a sudden you open a package in the mail and there's 15 baby Womas in it because you know the project, you own half the project somewhere else. You didn't have to do anything for care. You financed it maybe, but those hits like that those are good hits, you know?
Yeah. And I think maybe that's something to talk about how you do those and how you kind of gain trust with people in order to do that. Cause obviously you can't just send your animals anywhere. You got to trust that they can get the job done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like Savannah, I guess, I bought some black and white Tegus from her. We just became friends. and you either feel it or you don't. You know, I can bite you in the ass, that's for sure. But as far as my good buddies, it's worked out well, and you just build relationships. You know, if you get burnt, you get burnt. I guess you just move on. I can hang on to it, but so far it's worked out majority of the time. People are the same as me. They want to like progress, and they want to build a relationship. They want to, make a friendship out of it and go from there. So
yeah, I would say
you want some corns? You want me to send you some corns? I'm ready. What do you want?
Yeah, man, I need to send you these hognose because I don't know what the hell to do with them apparently. So,
well, there you go. Send them to me. I'll handle it.
I
remember you were trying your hogs. I remember that now at the beginning of the season. You didn't get no eggs from them, huh?
No, I've gotten slugs from her the last 2 years.
How old is it?
She is probably like 5 or 6.
Perfect. She's maybe perfect. Then what's the male though? What are they cooling at?
So I dropped them down just like colubrids. I didn't like read a book or anything like you're supposed to. I just dropped them down with the rest of the colubrids, brought them up, but I bring them up a little bit higher. So I tried
me too.
90 degrees or so is what the hot spot's at.
Mine's at 92. But I mean,
because previously I had done, they were at like 85, man, and same result. But then I'm like, wait, I think hognose are supposed to be warmer than that. Bumped him up to 92. Either way, they acted the same exact at 92 or 90 as they did at 85. But yeah, both times the male tries his heart out. I didn't see any like confirmed locks. He's all over her, but I haven't seen any confirmed locks, and she lays slugs every year.
For
the last 2 years, but
I had my most important clutch was slugs this year, except for one snake or one egg, and the egg hatched. Then it wasn't a visual toffee, a candy, superconda toffee. It's a het, but I don't know. I think hognose are different than corns and kings as far as like you pull them out of brumation and they immediately start to cycle. It seems like I think hognose, the introduction with the male is what pushes them to cycle. That's my opinion. Like if you don't pair a female, she's not going to ovulate. I don't know. I could be wrong. People are probably, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But what I've seen is hognose you can bring year round, and hognose you can also breed without brumation. I prefer brumation. I think it keeps them healthier, but who knows?
I mean, it's not anything, any Rubik's Cube to solve or anything like that. I'm just, my timing's off or something's messed up.
Well, replace that male. If she's laying a whole clutch of slugs, she's ready to rock. If she's laying like 1 or 2, she's done. That's my opinion. I had Earl Morin with Treasure Valley in Idaho. We just got linked up like a year ago. He's Uncle Earl now. He's coming to spend the weekend with us this week, and he's going to work the show with me. He gave me 3 females. They're huge hognose. One is 5 years old, and the other 2 were 10 years old. The one that's 5 years old he couldn't get them to breed the last 2 years. We got 15 eggs, I think, and the other 2 just laid 1 dud apiece. So they were done. That's the end of their deal. So they were rehomed as pets only to 2 different people that I knew that wanted pet hognose.
Because I have heard of like null females being a thing in hognose, or females getting burnt out or something like that. But yeah, she lays like 6 to 8 eggs, or she'll lay a clutch.
How many grams is she?
She's small. I mean, I see a lot of people hit their hognose like every 3 days or something. I'm certainly not doing that.
Feeding it, you mean?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, I do like every 5 to 7. But people feed them smaller meals. They seem to do better on smaller meals. I keep mine hot, and I keep them fed up. If they lay a clutch, I feed them that day because they need that. I think it takes a lot out of them. But I don't know. I mean, 6 to 8 eggs is pretty damn small clutch. So
yeah,
I like to do 175 grams. I think is a kind of an important number. Maybe 150. I know with corns, what's the rule? 3, 3, and 3. 3 years, 3 feet, or 300 grams would hit 2 of those. think with hognose, 175 grams was probably where she'd be. I have some hognose that are like 450 grams, are huge. And one of them double clutched 26 and 25 eggs this year. And they actually are hatching right now in the incubator.
Yeah,
So,
I made a dwarf, I think. My male's tiny. My female is, I mean, she's sizable, but she must be small. But that's one of those things to where kind of what we were alluding to before, like that's not my main project. I unfortunately like haven't focused on it because for whatever reason, like it's just not exactly my thing. So it's like, am I going to move this project along to someone who can actually do it? Or am I going to fuddle around with them half-assed, next year too? I'm not sure.
what's the morph?
They're both het snow.
Oh, man. I got sell the male and send me the female. I got an albino anaconda male that's het snow, and he'll be ready next year. I actually paired him this year, and he went to work because they breed at 6 months. Those little teeny males will roll on a 400-gram female. It's kind of wild. I still have one female, my het snow, I'm waiting for eggs on. So I ran her to 2 males, het snow, anaconda albino het snow, and a normal het purple haze, which that snow had already proved out with the same female last year. So either way, I'll get snows or anaconda snows. I'll know which one the father is. If she drops, she looks like she should lay here in the next 3 to 5 days, and she's the last one to go. So I made my first snow last year based off that het purple haze project, which is hypo, snow, and lavender. So next year I hope to hit the purple haze. I'm not sure that anybody even has that project in the States anymore. The guy I got him from was down in the San Francisco area, and he said he had sent almost everything overseas. I got 3 males and a female. I sold one of the males and kept the two males that I thought looked like they had the genetics. Even though they're not visual, you can see those little markers. You know what I mean? It's kind of wild. With hognose, you can kind of see it. There's just
so what exactly is coming through? Like, what do you mean exactly?
Just like it's kind of hard to say. It's like, especially with the babies that came out, they don't look anything like normal hognose, but they also don't have the visual. Like the snow came out and the albino came out, but the albino is like super washed out, really pastel. So I think that's like the hypo showing through. Again, people could listen to this and be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm trying to learn.
That happens as far as like, especially in ball pythons, like the clown shows through. In corns, the caramel shows through.
Yeah.
And that's probably just like a very, very small
visual.
Like incomplete dominant. Yeah, it's probably not actually recessive. We're probably just don't catch the first form of it, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I kept 3 females back from that clutch last year because the albino is like super pastel-y. This other female is almost white. It almost looks like a super Arctic, but it's not. It's like white and brown rather than brown and light brown, and it's just a normal. I don't know if that's the hypo showing through or what it is, or maybe there's some lavender to it. And then the snow is like a purple snow. It's not like a snow like you've seen. It's like the skin underneath the scales is like a dark pink purple color. So the snake looks a little bit different. So I know that male carries those genetics. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with it.
Sweet. How many babies, hogs, did you have this season?
I think about 100 and just over 150. And I got the last clutch of 25 hatching today. So.
Oh, so you're getting clutches easily in the 20s.
Yeah, that one female, that 450-gram female, my buddy told me not to buy her. I was like the dog on him for it. Too fat, won't breed. Fucking dropped 26 eggs, only 1 dud. And then the next clutch, 30 days later, 25 eggs, all perfect. That's been a big one for me. That was a big hit this year. So I do have 1 Eastern hognose egg. I have a very small male. And I have 3 not Eastern, tricolor hognose, sorry. 3 females, and the male was just kind of young enough, but he still wanted to breed, and he got 1 fertile egg off that female. So I kept the fertile egg, and next year I'll have him breeding all 3 of those females. So, or I'm gonna actually probably add another male in there, so I'll have 2.3, and those should all go. My friend Karen, she's got she's down in Texas. Her female's on her 6th clutch, and it's only bred once. And
Dude,
every egg
apparently,
is fertile.
like, apparently they just breed kids like over and over and over again, and then the female just like dies. That's what I've
That's
heard.
what I've heard too. Yeah,
It's
they're like, they
like,
live like 2 years and then they're done. But I guess that must be how they are in the wild. Just go out there and just drop,
pass on their
drop.
genes. Yeah.
Hers are looking good though. Her female's looking good, and she's on it. She just dropped her 6th clutch, and she wants it to stop, but she can't stop it. She hasn't paired it but the one time.
Damn.
It retains the sperm and just keeps rolling. So they're cool animals. They're hot right now. Everybody wants them.
And that's something, they're more like Central American, right? Or more towards the equator. So do you brumate them like you would a normal?
I think it's kind of like the way the boas are. You kind of got to just give them a little bit of a maybe light cycle with a, I think they feel the barometric pressure of the season. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to cool them. I'll probably drop the temps like 7 degrees maybe. And they're at, like you said, 90. So I'll probably put them down to like 82 and see what happens. It's going to be a gamble. I mean, I got to learn. The only way to learn is to try. I've read different things people say,
Yeah, I think people are always looking for this recipe, when one person bred it this way, okay, this is how you breed these things. But in reality, everyone's room is different. Everyone's in a different part of the country. Everyone's feeding differently, doing all these things differently. And it's not all one-to-one. You kind of got to do it yourself to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of like, I was a little worried about this season, thinking I wasn't going to be successful. And then all of a sudden the eggs are just one after another. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I got to start being confident. You know what I mean? Like 2 years in a row of every female that I bred, except for those boas, laid eggs. Every single female.
That's good, man.
And we're talking, like I said, was it 27 clutches of snakes and a couple clutches of lizards? Like, there was a couple clutches where the Floridas, I had like 2 xanthic females that they dropped 7 eggs apiece, and only 2 and 1 were fertile. And then I had the Eastern with 1 good egg, and then I had the Anaconda Toffee female drop 1 good egg. Everything else was 100% fertility. So anyway, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's one of those things where like you kind of listen to all these people and they make it seem so hard to breed snakes. And here you were, you're like your first season, the big season with all these different species, and you nailed it, man.
Yeah, I got lucky. Like those Kunashir rats, I actually, a friend of mine is a police officer in Portland. He's a big reptile breeder, but he's kind of underground, not on social media and stuff, and does a lot of carpets and that kind of stuff, and Anateresia or whatever. And he had the Kunashir, and he's like, hey, I want to get rid of these. And it was in April. He said they need 1 more year. And I said, okay, I'll buy them, because he's a great guy, clean animals, does everything right. And I went to the show. We were both in the show, and he walked over with him. I looked at him thinking, bullshit, 1 more year. I took him home, paired him up. They locked up that night. And a couple weeks later, I had a huge clutch on the ground. I sent him pictures, and I said, hey, I don't want you to think I'm rubbing it in. I'm just excited. I said, if you want me to kick you some babies, I'll give you a pair. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I am. If somebody sells me an animal that's ready to rock and it's been well cared for, and I turn and burn and get a good clutch on the ground, I'll throw babies back to them, even if it was a cash deal and they're out of it. I'll just send them babies in. What the hell? Why not? Give them a little bit.
And I think that that's a relationship that I seek to have with like anyone that I sell a snake to, or vice versa. It's like I have a buddy who I sent me the Eastern Black King snakes this year, and they just bred. He sent me them like right before breeding. I basically did the same thing like you did, man. I paired them up immediately, and I was successful. And then it's like, hey Mike, I'm gonna hit you up sometime with some animals, because you gave me a good 1.2 of animals that actually went the first year. Who else is going to do that?
Man, I feel like I screwed up our show. I had to come up to the bedroom to get closer to the router. Now I'm holding my charging pad to the back of my phone.
Nah, most people listen to the audio, so they don't even know what you're doing out there.
Oh, okay. I like when you put it on Facebook. I like watching it like that, when you can see the people. And I thought about doing it in the reptile room, but I don't know. I knew you didn't sit in the reptile room when you did it, so I thought I'll just
Well,
make it more about the conversation than what's going on behind you.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely reptiles in here, and it's definitely reptile room temperature because I need to turn the AC off, and it's 81 degrees in here right now. But
Yeah, I don't have anywhere to sit or even put up the phone. That room's full of racks for sure, and it'd be hotter than hell, dude. I'm a big dude. I get hot quick. That room sits at 82. I really don't need an incubator. That room's at 82 for like 4 months out of the year. I'm actually going to try to cool everything in that room. I'm going to move the boas out, and as far as the clubers go, I bought a system that goes in the window that draws air in and draw airs out. So like you can't smell reptiles no matter what in our house. Like that was the only way it was going to work for my wife. And of course, when you go in the room, it smells like reptiles. But I'm going to put a seal at the bottom of the door and pull air in from the outside and see if I can get it at like 55 instead of having to put everything in individual tubs and move it to the garage. That might screw up next year. We'll see. I might chicken out and cancel, but
you're like, everything went great this year. Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's see what we can do.
Dumbass.
But we all do that. We all change everything every year. Yeah. Then we're like, why did this work?
Yeah.
But are you running ambient temps or are you running heat tape?
I use Chris's racks for all the holdbacks and the babies. And then I use the Vision 35s and the, I don't know what they call them, like 42s with the heat cable. And the dolls actually have the temperature. I would say the hognose they're at like 92, and all the colubrids are like 86, like all the kings and corns and stuff. I don't have them with super high temps. When you turn the temps up and it's a hot day, they're in the front of the tub. Mm-hmm. They really don't like the heat that much. You got to think these snakes aren't out like sunbasking. They come out at night and sit on the warm road. I really don't think they want it too much above mid 80s, but who knows? It worked out this year. I definitely played with the temps this year. So.
Yeah. And that's something to where, especially where you are, you got to control your winter probably lasts a little bit longer than your brumation. I'm sure in March it's still pretty chilly up there.
Yeah, the garage gets to about 62, 63 in March, and during the winter it drops. The lowest I saw it, I have a thermometer that goes on my cell phone so I can pay attention to it. The lowest I saw it drop to was 52.5 degrees. So, and that was fine. I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah. What's your typical bringing them down to brumation? What do you typically do to prepare for that?
I don't feed them for 3 weeks and I take them down there. That's all. I don't drop temps slowly. And I turn the heat off. That's a lie. I don't feed them for 3 weeks. I turn the heat off in the room, in the racks they're in, and then 3 days later, I'll take them to the garage. So they do have like a 3-day window where they kind of have a little bit of an ambient temp, and by that time that room's down to the low 70s anyway, just off the weather.
Right.
That's on the south side of the house, so the sun hits that room and helps heat it too. So
do you end up taking them? Do you take the whole racks, or do you bin them up like individually or deli cup them? Or
I bend them up, but I'm actually giving all those bins to Jeremy next month at Sacramento because he likes those hefty tubs. And they take up way too much space for the amount of animals I have. I'm either going to take those Vision racks down there or just order smaller tubs because they do not move when they're in brumation. They literally sit under that little hide, come out for water, and I check them every 10 days. I seem to add water probably once a month, and that's pretty much it. I did have a hognose shed in brumation last year, and I lost him to that, and I was pretty disappointed. I thought it was a little strange. He started shedding in like January, and he never got the shed past his eyes. And I really thought maybe I should just bring him in the house and warm him up. And I thought, no, he can do it. He'll be fine. And he passed away. Damn. I thought it was really weird to go into a shed though after he'd been in brumation for 3 months.
I mean, I've had corns do it, but I've never had ill effects like that.
Yeah, I think it was just too much. It was asking it just too much at that temp. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And hogs have a completely different metabolism than a corn would. So
yeah, Well, what do you think? Corns are faster or slower? I think hogs are faster.
Yeah, hogs are faster.
Yeah.
It's like, and it comes out like not solid. It's the most disgusting shit.
It's terrible. Yeah. I don't know. I've been feeding chicks to a few corns here and there because I had a bunch of chicks for my adult tegus, and that makes the nastiest turds. Oh my God. I'm almost done with them. I don't want to waste them though. So anyway, well,
Yeah,
what do you
that's
say?
like
How much longer we got? My phone's just about dead.
yeah, we did
Like
it, man. We did 2
2
hours.
hours. Is that a long one? Seems like a
No,
long one.
that's normal.
Oh, it's normal.
It is a long one to most, but yeah, that's normal.
It was fun. It was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. Not that I didn't think it was going to be fun, but I just didn't know how you carry on for 2 hours. But we just hit it. There it is.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much you can talk about snakes, man.
And I don't talk about snakes because there's nobody to talk to about it. So
which is why
nice
it gets so easy, to flow through 2 hours
stuff to talk about. So,
yeah. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Instagram's the best, at Evergreen State Reptiles. So, and please follow and check it out, and follow if you like it, and if you don't, that's cool too. No big deal. Mostly colubrids, a few boas. We try to do good pictures and do things a little different to keep people interested, and try to interact with everybody that messages us. And I don't know. I think Instagram's where it's at personally. I'm really not a fan of Facebook, but we're there on Facebook too. So
I agree, man. Instagram is where it's at, and you got a variety of animals up there. So everyone go check out his Instagram page. As far as we go, Melissa's not here, so I'll speak for her. PortCityPythons.com, PortCityPythons on Instagram, PortCityPythons on Facebook, all that good stuff. We have animals available, as well as things like sphagnum moss, as well as springtails. So check all that stuff out. Other than that, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thank you, Shane, for joining us.
For sure. Thanks for having me back, or not back, but inviting me back after it didn't work out the first time.
Yeah, for sure. Not a problem. I'm glad you came on, and we had a colubrid episode finally, even though, we probably talk half colubrids sometimes, but that's all right.
That was good. All right.
And we will catch everyone next week for another episode of From the Ground Up. Thank you guys for hanging out. We did it.
Right.